Hi everyone, I watched a video of Lollipop26's recently and I was inspired to make my own video on it, and the reason for that is because I had actually thought about doing a video on this before, and although her video was quite inspiring, and her video is entitled Diet Ramble. And I thought, I have some experience in this area, just my own experience. I thought it would be interesting to share and to get your to see what your experiences are. I always have had an interest in health and fitness and diet. Now, by diet, I don't mean like go on a diet and lose weight. Diet, I mean like, eating healthily and, eating, my body as a temple sort of thing. Now, I've never been successful with the whole my body as a temple, because I love Kellogg's Frosties and I love Barrett's Frosty Sweets and I love fruit gums and eclairs and all things, and Stinger bars and all things that are not good if your body is a temple. So I can't preach, but I have read an awful lot of books and watched an awful lot of DVDs on the subject, and I've spent an awful lot of money on books and magazines. I used to buy Fitness RX magazine religiously, which is a US magazine that my news agents used to import for me, and it was ridiculous. I used to read all the science, like of having a diet of exactly 33.29% of protein and affecting the muscle, and I was actually interested in all that. Now, I've since mellowed a bit and have a little more of a relaxed attitude towards food and exercise. And from the time I was 14 years old, I was doing sit-ups every day, like 300. Sometimes there was times in my life when I was doing 500 to 1,000 sit-ups a day. Some may call that obsessive. I just enjoyed doing sit-ups and I liked my stomach being flat. But other than that, I didn't do a whole lot of other exercise. When I kind of hit 20, I started to go to the gym. And I went to the gym for years, for like 4 years solid. I went like a minimum of 3 times a week. And I did a combination of cardio work with swimming and weight training. Now, not to bulk, but to tone. Resistance work, if you will. And I have to say that I was very firm and very toned, but I wasn't slimmer by any means. Now, this isn't advice from me, because everybody's body is different, and I have a more muscular body than most. I have a tendency to put to bulk muscle, and I know all kind of fitness people say that doesn't happen to women, and it probably doesn't, but maybe I just have a more athletic shape. Because when I remember seeing an interview with Britney Spears years ago, before her craziness, and she was talking about what workouts she does, and she was saying that when she does cardio stuff like running and the elliptical trainer or anything, that her legs get bulky. That happens to me too. So my only option, after years of going to the gym and being firm and rock solid abs and rock solid arms, and I didn't weigh any less, and I actually weigh much less now than I did then. And the main reason for that is because I used to eat everything in sight when I went to the gym, and that is the truth. I couldn't stop eating. I used to come home and have 2 dinners. Now, that is not a good choice. I'm not recommending that. That was a stupid thing, but I was so hungry that after one dinner, it just wasn't enough. And I am a person who needs to have my satisfaction. So it wasn't good enough to have a dinner and be hungry. I don't want to be hungry. I don't think anyone needs to be hungry if you eat the right things. And I was eating healthily, but I was just eating too much because I was hungry. So when I stopped going to the gym, which is only there was, after like a bereavement in the family, I just had no interest in going to the gym, and I didn't go for like a year. And in that year, I did eat more after the bereavement, which is natural. But generally how my body reacts to stress is that I just don't eat that much. I just am hungry, which isn't good either. So it's another reason why I'm interested in all this. But I have basically found, for me, for my body shape and my metabolism, that food is the way for me to be slim. So obviously I walk every day. I don't walk excessively. Like, I bring the dogs for a walk twice a day, and sometimes I run after them. Sometimes. And I jump up the stairs 2 at a time, and I'm a fidgeter, and I'm quite I never stay easy. I'm moving around all the time. So I'm an active person. But I don't go to the gym anymore. I don't run on the treadmill. I don't do any of that anymore, and I am getting my exercise, but I'm happier and I'm not obsessive about exercise. And with food, when you obsess about food, you think about food all the time, and I don't think that's healthy. That's the one negative thing about, well, there's lots of negative things about people and they're kind of trying diets and stuff, is that you obsess over the food you eat, and that may help you lose weight, but it's probably not a positive relationship to have with food. You need food to be alive. You need food for nourishment. You know, having, eating only, water and cheese isn't going to make your body is going to function properly. So I just think that for me, I found a balance now, and that is I do a little bit of exercise every day. I do occasionally do like a dance workout, and I did actually recently rave on my video about Pump It Up, the DVD from the Ministry of Sound, and I love that. I highly recommend that, and it's an absolute nightmare. Like the first time you do it, if you're unfit, you will like just be having a heart attack, but it is completely worth it, and it's so intense. But I don't do it that often. I might do it only once every couple of weeks, and I don't do it for my weight. I just do it more for a little bit of toning, but I mainly do it just because I enjoy it and it's good fun. So it's not something I do every day or even 3 times a week, or even, it's probably more once a month, to be honest. But I do walk the dogs and have a little run around. The diets that I was interested in when I was younger, when I was buying all the books, it was things like, the Pericone diet, the South Beach diet. I read the Atkins book, but I didn't try it because I didn't like the foods that I would have to eat. Like, I don't like bacon. I don't really like meat that much. And I like carbs. Carbs make me happy. And I don't mean bad carbs. I mean like good carbs. Like, bread, like good homemade brown bread and things like that. I need that to function, and I would be witchy if I didn't have carbs. I also love fruit and I love vegetables, and I like meat sometimes, but I don't want to rely on it. I don't like it that much to rely on it. So Atkins was out for me. Pericone interested me, South Beach interested me, but it was too strict and I just couldn't follow it. At this stage, when I was buying all these books, I maybe was about 6 pounds over like what I wanted to be, and those 6 pounds wouldn't come off no matter how much exercise I did, mainly because I was eating 2 dinners a day, probably not every day, but But I think that I did buy a lot of those books because I felt like I wanted to lose like 6 or 7 pounds. That was the reason that I was interested at the time in reading those. One of them that I read that was apparently very successful I watched a documentary on these people who tried all of these, and they basically said which ones were successful and their experience with the diets and stuff, and their horrible side effects and stuff. But the one that came out on tops, as in like the most amount of weight loss, was something called the Scarsdale diet, which I think is a medical diet recommended for people who had don't know if it was like people who had heart disease or something, for some people who had an illness. So I bought that and I read it, didn't even try it. But what I would say is that, like Lollipop 26, I picked up things from every single book I read, from every magazine article I read, and from every DVD I watched. I've picked up information that is useful and now has made me understand my body, how it functions, what it needs, what it doesn't need, what is a waste of time, and I think I am the better for that. I don't think it's a good idea to go out and buy loads of books, really. If you want to read books on these, but you don't want to commit yourself to a diet, go to the library. It's a good way of having a look at what's out there without committing to it. I'm done. For me personally, I technically have never tried a diet. I once did a liver flush, but it was because I was like concerned about all the toxins in my body. I used to work with a naturopath, and that made me so paranoid, but he gave me so much information, which I think has kind of spurred on my interest in natural and alternative health and medicine and things like that, and skincare, and I kind of thank him for that. But it did also make me paranoid about what was in milk and what hormones are in my beef, and all the things you don't want to know but are useful to know. So I do think educating yourself on this topic is important. I don't recommend getting obsessive about calorie counting and weighing things. I think the more you obsess about food, the more trouble you have with your weight. For me, if I say I'm not allowed to have something, it's all I think about. I want it all the time then, because I can't have it. At the moment, there are biscuits and chocolate things and crisp things and everything in my press, and I just don't eat them because they're there and I'm not bothered. Now, if I said to myself, no Amy, you're not allowed to have chocolate and crisps and biscuits, I would have walked to the shop like 10 times already to buy them. But because they're there, I'm not that fussed. Out of all the books and programs and magazines, there's only one that I really recommend that was actually useful to me and my relationship with food, and it stopped my relationship with food getting negative, and it is Paul McKenna series. And I don't know if there's a book out, there probably is. And Paul McKenna, if you don't know, is a British hypnotist, and I've never been hypnotized or anything like that, and that's not what this is about. It's about controlling yourself. It's not about listening to to him and him controlling you. It's about you controlling yourself. And basically there was a few principles with food is based on this. The first thing that I learned was to stop when you're full. Now, that sounds really simple, but I didn't do that. I kind of finished my plate, because when you're little, you're told you're not leaving the table till you finish your food. I now stop when I'm full. The second thing I learned was to stop when the next bite isn't as nice as the last, because sometimes you don't feel full till 20 minutes after you have finished eating, and that's the case with me. So when I stop enjoying something as much as I did when I started eating, then I stop. So it might mean that I only eat half of a slice of cake, but half a slice of cake is good enough for me. But what I notice the most about that is that if I'm having a bar of chocolate, that one square of chocolate is all I want. I used to just eat the whole bar before, and now I'm going one square of chocolate, have the sweet taste in my mouth, have the chocolate. I don't really want the rest. I'll eat it because I just won't think about it. But now I think about it and I go, no, that's enough, I'm done. And the other thing that I learned is also, if you're craving something, and you should either just have a little bit of it and just be done, or think of the thing you're craving about in bad terms, like covered in worms or something that you hate. Now the thing is, for me, I am good at controlling my mind, and that was the one thing that I found very useful. I just let myself have whatever I wanted, but then I stopped when the next bite stopped being as nice as the one before, and you'd be surprised how quick that happens. That means your body has had enough. And other than that, there was to enjoy your food. If you sit eating food in front of the television, you probably eat unconsciously. You probably eat without realizing that if you have a bowl of popcorn in front of you and you're watching something, you're just like scoffing the popcorn. You're not thinking about what you're putting in your mouth. I eat my meals at the table. I enjoy my meals. I enjoy every bite. I think about what I'm eating, and like I'm enjoying my food. Like I add fresh herbs and things in, and basically savor what you are eating. So if you want the chocolate cake, have the slice of chocolate cake, but enjoy it. Like, realize that it's delicious and that you love it, and then just stop when you've had enough. And that has worked for me. It won't work for everybody, but that really has changed my whole attitude to food. So I recommend that. You can probably see some of the series. It was a TV series that he did. I think it was for the BBC, I'm not sure, or maybe it was Sky. But you could have a look online and see, could you even watch it on YouTube, I don't know. But I definitely recommend that. So that is my long big rant about my experience with dieting and what I have learned. I'd be interested to hear your experience, because this is something I think women are obsessed with, and for me, I just wanted to let it go and for it not to be important anymore, and it's not important anymore, and I'm enjoying my food and I'm enjoying my little bit of exercise, and there is no obsession, so it's all good. Thanks for watching.